Mr. DesJarlais, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. McCarthy, thank you for being here today. Just one follow-up on Mr. Scott's question. He pointed out that GAO determined that you violated federal law. Who was in charge of the covert propaganda and the grassroots lobbying? Who was the person in charge of that?
It is actually just part of our outreach and education.
So there was nobody in charge of that you're aware of?
We have communications folks that are doing
who was the head of that? Who was responsible for that?
I'd have to go back and look at the exact time, but we have actually a large education and outreach group, but none of that.
Nobody was punished for it, though, right?
Of course, we don't believe that we did anything wrong. I understand the person that's over it is now promoted and working for the White House, but that's beside the point. In your opening statement, in response to the chairman, you made it sound like Congress is imploring you to move forward with this WOTUS. Where did the idea for WOTUS come from, and basically who was in charge of drafting this package? Actually, the WOTUS, or the Clean Water Rule, came because the Supreme Court told us that we needed to make improvements to the law based on science. We needed to prove a connection. We needed to do a better job.
So it wasn't Congress, like you said in your opening statement. It wasn't us.
It actually was followed up by Congress asked us to take action to address concerns, individual stakeholders, members of the ag community. Absolutely, people were looking for us to do a better job than the 2008 guidance and to respond to the concerns and criticisms that the Supreme Court.
But you went around Congress and you used a rulemaking process, correct?
No, sir. No, sir. We were actually asked to do a rulemaking for clarification. Whether you disagree with that rule or not is fine.
What's the cost of this?
But EPA didn't generate this on its own.
Well, what is the cost going to be to implement this rule?
It's actually a net benefit of something in the order of $184 million.
A benefit, not a cost. Because I've heard that cost anywhere from $180 million up to $500 million, which that would change the way the rulemaking process works, correct? If the cost is over $100 million, you can't go around Congress the way you did.
No, actually, the $100 million threshold means we go through the interagency process, which we did.
Mm-hmm. Do you know Howard Shalansky?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Have you worked with him on this?
Yes, I did.
Do you know why he won't give the required documents to the OGR committee that we've been asking for since March 3rd of 2015?
I'm not aware of what you're referring to, sir. But
okay, we had a hearing about the rulemaking process and the fact that this was a major rule, and we've been asking, and actually have had to now subpoena these documents for over a year. You don't have any idea of why that they're ignoring our request?
I don't know.
You've not had any conversations with him?
No, sir.
Okay, is this directive more from the White House?
What directive are you referring to?
The WOTUS ruling itself.
No,
the waters of the U.S. It's certainly not from Congress. We voted both in the Senate and the House to stop
I just explained to you where the impetus came from.
Mm-hmm. And the courts have blocked this, correct? The implementation.
It is being litigated in one district court, and it's now with the Sixth Circuit, where they're looking at whether or not the district court has jurisdiction, or they do. But you're absolutely right. We are now stayed in terms of its implementation until those court issues are resolved.
Okay, well, you act like you're doing us a favor, but yet we have 31 states and many agricultural organizations filing lawsuits against you. So you don't think that maybe there ought to be a reason for pause? Maybe we ought to scrap this thing, go back to the drawing board and do it right?
We'll certainly hear from the courts as to whether we met the legal test in terms of its merits.
So why did the EPA decide that it was necessary to do this?
Because of the lack of clarity and the inconsistency in the unfairness of the current process.
Okay, but under the Clean Water Act, you were restricted to navigable waters. Mr. Scott talked about farm ponds, stock ponds where cattle drink out of. Is that a navigable water?
The actual navigable water, the Supreme Court has told us that that goes well beyond what we would traditionally think of as navigable, and we have to then protect waters that have the ability to significantly impact the biological, physical, and chemical integrity of navigable waters.
You understand?
Does it respond to ditches on farmlands? We've done a really, I think, good job, if you look at the Clean Water Rule, to make sure that we're clarifying the word ditch that's in the Clean Water Rule, not in. It
would take another 10 minutes for you to describe what's a ditch and what's not a ditch, but I'll just end with the fact that, America is frustrated right now with big government. That's the #1 issue with Americans, is the overreach of federal agencies. So I would hope that you would withdraw a little bit, take your time, and get this right. Thanks for being here.
Gentleman's time has expired.